Hello, 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 good people. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker, coming back at you live once again from the Lone Star State with another edition of the Media Mike Speaks. And we have a top story today. Now, my last video I did on the Ivory Tower on higher education dealt with attack on free speech. So this was sent to me by one of my subscribers who wanted me to do another edition on that, on the defense of academic freedom. So here we are. In my last video, I did make it clear that people can only take so much in higher education, it seems. And it won't be long before there'll be pushback. And so here we are. College educators form alliance to defend free expression. This is coming from the Associated Press by Arthur Atali. Around 200 scholars from across the country have formed what is called the Academic Freedom Alliance, which has a mission to help college educators speak, instruct, and publish without fear of sanction, bullying, punishment, or persecution. The Academic Freedoms Alliance mission is to help teachers speak, instruct, and publish without this fear, and hoping that the powers that be will take notice. I understand, which, hey, this is not bad. This was launched Monday. The nonprofit organization arose out of discussions among some Princeton University faculty members over how to counter what they say as growing intolerance of differing viewpoints. They plan to serve as advocates for those they believe have been unjustly attacked and to provide money for legal support if needed. Members will pay an annual fee of $50 if they are tenured professors, $35 for others, and the Alliance also is seeking donations. Now, Princeton's Keith E. Whittington, who chairs the Alliance's academic committee, he says, "We were looking for a way to foster a national conversation about these kinds of issues." This is getting very, very, very controversial, people. It is, good people, especially for those in higher education here. Now, they do have some backing from some renowned scholars. Now, let me read them to you. Members range politically from Harvard University's Cornel West, a Bernie Sanders supporter. Now, Cornel West, I do believe he used to teach at Princeton, and he left Princeton and went to Harvard. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was tenured at Princeton, and then he went to Harvard, and he wasn't tenured. He wasn't granted tenure. Maybe Mr. West is rethinking to return to Princeton. Just saying. Also, we have retired university professor Carl Swain from Vanderbilt, a backer of former President Donald Trump. Others in the alliance include the constitutional scholar Sanford Livingston, based at the University of Texas School of Law, the award-winning novelist Charles Johnson, a professor emeritus at the University of Washington, and Nadine Strossen, the former president of the ACLU and professor emeritus at New York universities. Now, some members have been involved in free speech controversies. Now, we're not speaking of the renowned scholars I just talked about. These are some faculty members they're going on to say they have been involved in free speech controversies. Steven Pinker, the Harvard professor and best-selling linguist, was criticized by members of the Linguistic Society of America in 2011 for alleged insensitivity to racism and sexism. The group's board defended Pinker, declaring it is not the mission of the society to control the opinions of its members nor their expressions. Which I understand. I think a lot of people have gotten too much into their feelings and emotions. That's not the way things work. We have to get out of our feelings. And I think a lot of people are into their feelings today. Whatever happened to research? Whatever happened to fact-finding research? That's what academia used to be for, especially at universities. It's about research because they are research institutions. If you have an issue with what someone has published or stated, you go and you counter by research to support your argument. Now it seems that a lot of people are into their feelings. That's not the way things work. Now, Professor Whittington, whose books include Speak Freely, Why Universities Must Defend Free Speech, said the alliance would be narrowly focused on free speech and academic freedom issues. He cited two recent examples of why he says the alliance is needed. Last summer, the University of Southern California professor Greg Patton was lecturing on Zoom about the use of filler words in language and mentioned a handful of Chinese terms that some students believed sounded like an English language racial slur. Patton was placed on leave and only returned after a school investigation found that the use of the Mandarin term had a legitimate pedagogical purpose. Wow. Now let me get this straight. We have students that were into their feelings of what they thought sounded like a racial slur, but it appears did no research of their own at all. Now you see here what happened. The school did the research, came back, or investigation, that's research, and said, what are you talking about? If I was a student, really, if I was a student at this university and argued this, I would really feel quite foolish. Here I am, an academe, on my way to becoming a graduate of this institution, who are supposed to be in control of emotions, think things through, carefully plan them, do your investigation, do your research before you fly off the handle. Do your fact-finding research. But instead, they're into their feelings. Is this where we're headed, people? I don't know. Also last summer, Auburn University professor Jesse Goldberg faced calls for his firing. And he said he said he faced threats of violence after posting a profane tweet that included, "The police do not protect people, they protect capital. They are instruments of violence on behalf of capital." Auburn called his tweet inexcusable. What? And completely anti-ethical to the Auburn creed, and reassigned Goldberg from the classroom to a research position. So he must have appealed, I guess, and they didn't put him back in the classroom. They gave him a research position. Actually, for those of you who may or may not know this, Mr. Goldberg is correct. If you look up the federal cases under police protection, that is not their job. They have no duty of authority to do so. They are proactive. This is all in federal cases. This is all in federal cases. I mean, it is. This is all in federal cases. I don't know why people. Do your homework. We have to be better than this. We have to be. Ask if the alliance is a response to cancel culture, however that might be defined, according to Professor Whittington. But added that some of what gets characterized as cancel culture poses a threat to a free society tolerant of dissent. To the extent that there are organized efforts to suppress and sanction professors who expose controversial or unorthodox views, the alliance seeks to counter those pressures. Such pressures preceded what now gets characterized as cancel culture, but they have some overlap, he said. So, and this is where we are. Interesting. Well, it seems the pushback has begun in academia because things have gotten too extreme. The war's on, it seems. And I just hope that peace can be made before it destroys freedom of speech and expression in academia. All right, good people. Sad to say, but that's it for today. And remember, if you have or had a bad day and feel you are being censored in academia, you may want to think about joining that alliance so that you can be okay. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker. Subscribe, share, and like so that I can keep rocking on the mic. Have a good night.